Welcome back to Bodybuilding Nation. We've got the official results from the Pittsburgh Pro, and honestly, it's a bit of a heartbreaking moment for many fans, including myself. While Derek Lunsford supporters are certainly celebrating, many of us watching believed Nick Walker did enough to secure the victory. When they were announcing the winner, I was completely convinced we'd hear Nick's name called. Instead, for reasons we'll analyze, the judges awarded the title to Derek Lunsford. This wasn't how I saw the competition unfold. From my perspective, Nick brought superior size, better conditioning, and a more impressive overall package. The final placings, let's break down the official results. Derek Lunsford, Nick Walker, Martin Fitzwater, William Bonak, Michael Krizo. Nick's disappointment was clearly visible during the awards ceremony. His body language conveyed obvious frustration with the decision. I noticed he was chewing gum throughout the entire event, even during the awards presentation. While that's understandable, many competitors chew gum to keep their mouth from getting too dry on stage, it probably wasn't the deciding factor in his second-place finish. Martin secured third place as most predicted, with William Bonak taking fourth. Interestingly, Michael Krizo managed to crack the top 5 despite being late for the finals and having noticeably subpar tan application. He barely made it to the stage in time and wasn't even in the original second call-out. They had to add him later. Krizo's posing issues. Speaking of Krizo, his posing was absolutely atrocious, perhaps the worst I've ever witnessed from an IFBB pro. It genuinely looked like his first competition ever. The way he transitioned between poses, his inability to hold positions, and his overall presentation were shockingly bad. Even Paul Dillett, known for his posing struggles, was significantly better by comparison. What's most surprising is that despite these glaring issues, being late, poor tan application, and terrible posing, the judges still awarded him 5th place. Was it because of his visit to the NPC headquarters the week before? His name recognition? It's difficult to understand this decision when he clearly underperformed in terms of presentation. With better posing, proper timing, and appropriate tan, he could have placed even higher. But these failures should have resulted in a lower placement. His physique may have been more conditioned and larger than Leandro Perez, but his presentation was catastrophically bad, with constant shaking on stage. Bonak versus Fitzwater, surprisingly close. The battle between William Bonak and Martin Fitzwater was unexpectedly competitive. I assumed Martin would handily defeat Bonak, but it was much closer than anticipated. When Bonak was in his prime, he was undeniably superior to Fitzwater. However, in his current form, Bonak lacks the same fullness in his legs, arms, and back width. While his muscle detail and posing execution remain excellent, he simply doesn't have the same muscularity as before. Comparing their back width reveals the difference, with Martin displaying greater width and size. Conditioning-wise, Bonak may have been slightly more polished, but Martin's youthful physique showcases impressive detail and muscle pop throughout. If the judges had given this one to Bonak because of his refined detailing and presentation, it wouldn't have been outrageous. That's how close it was. Still, I believe Martin deserved the third-place finish, and I wasn't surprised when they announced Bonak in 4th. The gap was narrower than most of us anticipated, partly because Martin wasn't at 100%. As he acknowledged later on social media, Nick versus Derek. Breaking down the decision, now for the main event, Nick Walker versus Derek Lunsford. Nick brought superior size and proportions with legs that finally matched his impressive upper body development. His leg improvements have been remarkable. Let's analyze pose by pose. Front double biceps. Derek likely won this one, front lat spread, probably another win for Derek's side chest. Extremely close, but I'd give Nick the edge due to his superior leg development, particularly his hamstrings. Back double biceps, Nick won convincingly here, while Derek's back showed slightly better detail. Nick's arm development and hamstrings were on another level. Back lat spread. Another clear win for Nick. His hamstring conditioning was absolutely freakish. Side triceps, edge to Derek. His midsection appeared tighter, and his presentation was cleaner. Abs and thigh, advantage Nick. His legs displayed better development, and his abs showed more prominently, most muscular, dominated by Nick. He completely overshadowed Derek in this pose. So what happened? I believe the judges' decision came down to several factors beyond just the pose-by-pose comparison. First, endurance became an issue. The judges worked these competitors through an unusual number of comparison rounds. 2 during prejudging, 2 more during the first part of finals, and another 3 rounds in the second part of finals. This unprecedented comparison marathon seemed designed to see which athlete would fade first. As the comparisons continued, Nick began having increasing difficulty controlling his midsection. During the early rounds, he maintained impressive tightness, but in the final comparisons, his midsection control diminished noticeably. Simultaneously, his back poses lost some of their initial impact. Meanwhile, Derek maintained his conditioning more consistently through all the rounds. Nick's greater muscle mass and larger waistline made sustaining that tight control more challenging over extended periods. Additionally, Derek simply has fewer structural weaknesses. While Nick has those freakish strengths, those hamstrings were mind-boggling. He also has more pronounced weaknesses, particularly his waistline and abdominal shape. Derek presents a more aesthetically balanced package with fewer glaring issues. During one particular transition between poses, Nick momentarily revealed his relaxed midsection, which appeared significantly distended. While it was just for a second, these moments matter in such a close competition. The judges' decision logic. The judges aren't infallible. They're simply people attempting to evaluate incredibly close physiques. Those of us who have followed bodybuilding for years or decades can make equally valid assessments. Just because the judges favored Derek doesn't automatically make it the correct decision in an objective sense. The unusually high number of comparison rounds suggests the judges themselves were uncertain. I can't recall another competition where 2 bodybuilders were pushed through so many comparison rounds. It seemed they were waiting for one competitor to fade, and ultimately that was Nick. If I had to justify their decision, I'd point to 3 factors. Nick's midsection control deteriorated in later rounds. Derek maintained more consistent conditioning. Throughout, Derek presented fewer structural weaknesses overall. Was it the right call? I still believe Nick deserved the win, but I can understand the reasoning. If Nick had won, I don't think anyone would have questioned it. That's how close this battle was. Classic Physique, another close battle. In the Classic Physique division, Terrence Ruffin emerged victorious over Jose Manuel in another extremely close 1-point decision. This matchup exemplified the classic debate in bodybuilding judging. Do you reward the more aesthetically pleasing, classically structured physique, Terrence, or do you favor the freakier, more conditioned physique, Jose? Jose Manuel brought unbelievable conditioning and muscle density. He's practically a different species in terms of how dry and hard he gets. However, Terrence presented better overall balance and superior leg development, particularly in the quadriceps. While I personally would have given the edge to Jose Manuel for his extraordinary conditioning and muscle density, I completely understand why Terrence won. His physique better embodies the classic aesthetic, and his overall completeness compensated for being slightly less conditioned than Jose. This was another competition where either outcome would have been justifiable. The 1-point difference between them reflects just how close this battle was. Does this win make Terrence a serious threat to Mike Sommerfeld's Olympia title? I don't believe so. If Mike had been in this lineup at his best, it wouldn't have been a 1-point decision. Mike is simply on another level. While Terrence has an excellent classic physique, good conditioning, and solid presentation, he would need to make significant improvements to challenge Mike at the Olympia. The Hungarian competitor Richard, whose last name escapes me, also looked phenomenal and could have been fighting for top positions, but lacking name recognition likely affected his placement. Final thoughts. So there you have it. Derek Lunsford wins the Open and Terrence Ruffin takes the Classic Physique title at the 2025 Pittsburgh Pro. While these weren't the outcomes I predicted, both divisions featured incredibly close battles that could have gone either way. What did you think about these results? Do you agree with the judges, or did you see it differently? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, please hit that like button and subscribe to Bodybuilding Nation for more competition coverage. Thanks for watching.